And welcome back to Contemporary Black Voices. And my name is Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell. And our topic today is really about one of the charter schools here in San Antonio, Essence Preparatory Public School. And we're going to get into lessons learned and where are we going to go from here.
I think one thing that I've learned is that your capacity has to be extremely strong when you're talking about changing expectations in a community. Hear what I said. I didn't say when you're talking about starting a business, opening up a school, running for office. No, when you're talking about changing expectations for a community, because that's what I believe Essence has done. Regardless of our short period of time here, regardless of the results, how you want to take the results, we spent 187 days with our kiddos, and they were only judged based off of 2 days. 2 days when they take that test. I spent 187 days with them. I want to put that to math. The last thing is capacity building. As a community, if we want to become stronger at the work that we do and have better results and outcomes, not just outputs, we have to build our capacity. Mm-hmm. We have to be strong. And so I made sure that we hired as many individuals from the east side of San Antonio as possible. That's why I find it very funny that the people who are saying these people are not certified, these people don't have bachelor's degrees, these are your neighbors that you're talking about. Right. These are the people that support your businesses. These are the people who are in your churches that you're gossiping about, and you're wrong, loud and wrong. So capacity building is key if we're going to be successful in our communities in the future, regardless of what effort project that we take on.
I'm going to go to a kind of a macro level on this when it comes to the city of San Antonio. My good friend DeMonte Alexander has been speaking about this loudly regarding poverty in San Antonio. We've invested millions and millions and millions of dollars over decades, and we haven't moved the needle on poverty. And look, being around a lot of folks in economic development, real estate, transportation, everything, we all go back to the same ground principle. It's an education factor. Mm-hmm. It's the reason I got involved in this when I moved back here in San Antonio. It's the reason I started going back to the hallways of Sam Houston High School and Wheatley Middle School and started going to board meetings at SEISD, is because I realized the grounding principle of us progressing as a community, as a city, is going to have to be a change in the way we address education. I don't think we've done that well enough. And initially, I pointed the finger at the school districts. Now I have to really go back up to that higher level and say the buck stops at the state. That's the limitation of how we progress as a community when it comes to education. The state does not want to support us proceeding in the ways we need to when it comes to supporting families and students. I don't know where that's going to change. So as far as Essence goes, when we address this, look, we're not going to go anywhere because the challenges, again, aren't going anywhere. State's not going to address them. That's very apparent unless we get some new representatives there. So we're going to continue this fight in some form or fashion, whether it's a partner organization or if we have to start something else, we will do that. Our board is strong in this passion for fighting for our students and for our communities. That's not going to end anytime soon.
Sounds good. Always when your back is against the wall, it's always good to come up with another plot and another program.
Right.
And as long as the emphasis is there to address the demographic, right. It's not just one ethnic group, but many ethnic groups outside of town.
Right.
And that commitment is there. I think it'll proceed forward.
Yeah. I want to say what Brian just said, just cap off with this. When we first got started, I told you guys about our process. Real quickly, we had a question from one of the state board members, and she asked, Akeem, why are you going to call your kids scholars? Are you giving them false hope?
Jeez.
Wow. And I want to end with that because for me, that's what drives my work every day. Regardless of the state closure announcement, regardless of what's next, a frustration, feeling like a failure personally, right? Because I made this commitment to our community. All of those feelings have left me when I think about that comment, because that is exactly why we started Essence. That's why we call them scholars, because we know that when they walk into rooms, they're going to have to prove the knowledge they possess, while people who don't look like them are always going to be assumed to have knowledge, right? And so that is why we started Essence.
I wonder whether that board member had any kind of schooling him or herself.
A good question. Was a doctorate. You see, you can earn doctorate degrees just like you can earn teacher certifications, but do you know how to do it well?
We talked about
a sociology.
There you go. There you go.
We talked about the teachers, we talked about the building, but again, visiting your campus, having visited your campus, there was one student there who really caught my eye. Cannot think of her name, and even if I knew her name, I wouldn't call her out on air, but she really caught my eye. So, how are the students feeling right now?
They're a little disappointed and upset. They make me emotional. I've had kids come to me and say, Mr. Brown, is this true? Our school is closing, our school.
And she was probably one of the people that
Probably
asked.
so. Because our kids feel like, and they should not feel like it is their space. They built it. You know, it's unique enough that they built that space. This school was built by them. They designed classrooms. They got to pick out their uniforms. That mantra that's on the wall, they decided where to put it. They didn't decide the mantra, but they decided where to put it. Everything about Essence was curated by community. And so our kids are deeply disappointed that they believe someone has taken something that they built from them. The other thing, too, that I've heard from some of our younger kids quickly is that, you know, Chris, they've said, well, Mr. Brown, did we fail you? Did we let you down?
Wow.
Because the response has been from their parents, you know, the school is closing because of test grades. So kids are like, oh, it's my grade. It's my individual grade on why we're not closing. And so we're doing everything in our part. And we invite families, community to come out February 19th for our Black History program. We're going to close this thing the right way. We're making sure that our kids know, regardless of where they go, they always are loved. They always will be supported. And we never took those words out of our mission. Love, peace, that never left us, because we know those are synonymous to justice. And we believe when education is done right, you're provided justice.
You know, the reason why I ask that question is oftentimes we don't ask the question, how are the kids feeling?
Thank you for asking.
You know, because of the impact. And again, you know, I have to keep stressing, when I went in there, I really felt good for the kids. You know, that just the environment was kid friendly.
That's right.
It's a very welcoming space.
Yes.
So I know that I have some questions. There's a lot of questions where I can ask, but we're getting close to closing thoughts from everybody. So Mario, what are your closing thoughts about the situation?
Well, I'm just glad they cleared up. The certification thing, which is not true, they cleared that up. And going up that point about the scholars and you know, why you're telling your kid they can be scholars, I mean, I can't say what I would like to say
Yes, sir.
on the air about what I think about someone who said that. But being able to transmit the idea of pride and culture is something that every school ought to be doing. And I'll never forget when I went before the State Board of Education, one black student from Dallas said, we appreciate you all teaching us about Martin Luther King, but I'm getting sick and tired of he's the only black hero we got. And so schools that address all of the heroes, all of the culture, all of that are very important to have. And if school districts aren't doing that, which many are not, and some universities are tending away from that too, then we've got a real problem. And the only way to address that problem is to continue on. And I'm just hoping that you all will do that and find the correct way to continue on what you've already stated.
Chris.
I'm so happy that you came for the same reason that Mario just talked about, to be able to clear up some misconceptions. The one, actually two questions or a suggestion and a question. The question first is, if TEA is so good and can close you down, why is the state of Texas one of the last in education in America? The other thing that I hope that you will do in looking at this is not, I'm not saying don't become, but I'm not saying that you should become a Muslim school, but I ask you to at least look at how you might be able to partner with them and do something that is similar. They have schools in Houston. They have other schools that are around. I was just in Chicago at one of their schools, and there are amazing things that are happening there.
Yes, sir.
And I think that we are better together than we are separate. So I hope you'll look at that.
Yes, sir. Duly noted.
I know that having visited the campus, one of the things that I was amazed was the huge garden you had in the back.
Yeah.
Now, most school campuses have a little bitty, just a little bitty cute garden, but they had some vegetables in there. In fact, I saw some pictures last night where the zucchini was obscenely big.
Come to our Black History program. We're going to be selling collard greens. We're doing a food demo and a
will.
history of why collard greens mean so much to our community. We're also doing the same thing for pecans. A lot of people didn't know pecan ice cream was actually created by the Black community because they wouldn't allow us to have vanilla ice cream. So
So
that's
what,
crazy.
so what day is this on?
February 19th.
At what time?
February 19th, we start at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
5 o'clock, it's going to be a night of festivities and a night of showcasing.
Okay. So closing thoughts. Let's see who wants to go first. You or
Brian can.
Challenges aren't going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Our support isn't going anywhere for our community. Look, I left San Antonio for a number of years for the military. I came back. I reinvested back on the east side, and that was very intentional. Look, we're going to resolve this in some form or fashion.
He can't go anywhere because I'll tell her daddy.
That's right.
That's right. Well, the struggle continues. You know, I joined the NAACP when I was 12 years old as a youth council member. And this man who I'll never forget, Charlie Owens, he said to me, Akeem, the struggle continues. And I would go to these meetings every third Sunday and I sit there and he would always say that to me. And I'm like, Mr. Owens, I'm so sick of hearing that. But those are the words that I hear every day that I wake up. The struggle continues. So the work hasn't stopped. The struggle continues. And our kids matter. So I can't give up the fight because they are who I'm fighting for.
That's right.
Mom and Dad, I will tell you this. Your babies do come to school and ask some serious questions, maybe because they don't know how to ask you. But one question that was asked of me was, what was it like to be on a slave ship? Now, I didn't answer the question, but I did have the kids enact what the bottom of that ship was like. Now, did I get in trouble? Yes. But your kids want to have this knowledge. And schools like Essence, if given the capacity to do what they need to do, can help these kids find answers to their questions or where to go to find those answers. I'm hoping, after listening to you two today, that there's another way to get to Walmart, that you find another way of bringing Essence back into the community. Before we stop, I want to thank our producers today. We have Carl Booker, but we also have Dr. Caleb Alexander, who usually sits on the seat with us. He was also giving his directions. You got to say this, you got to say that. And we also want to thank you, our listeners. Please put your comments in there because, again, we need schools like Essence, whether it's for the Black community, the Hispanic community, whatever community. We need these schools because our babies are worthy of getting the answers that they need to answer questions. And with that being said,
I would just like to say thank you to Dr. Cynthia Ward
Oh.
because this would not have been possible had she not initiated to make this possible.
For so
Love
many
her.
reasons. She's the reason
Love
I'm
her.
in San Antonio.
Love her. That's right.
well, with this being said, this is Contemporary Black Voices, where we tell our stories our way.
Thank you, guys.